People get uptight whenever I talk about porn. I don't know why. It's right there. How could you not watch porno? It's right there. It's like right on your computer. How could you not watch it? Like if two people were having sex right here, and I was telling jokes right here, how many of you would be looking at me? Nobody. It's right fucking there. It's not a weird thing. Like, I get why people watch love stories. I get why you'd watch like a romantic comedy. Maybe that's your fantasy. You're like, someday that's gonna be me. I'm gonna fall in love. It's gonna be beautiful, and you wanna live through the characters. I get that. That's not my fantasy. You know what's my fantasy? I'm delivering pizza to a sorority, and they can't pay for it.
I actually thought about getting breast implants because I'm a radical militant feminist and a hypocrite, turns out. My neighbor, she has them, and but she has them for work. She's in porn, and I used to look down on that stuff, you know. But I realize I'm just jealous because nobody's ever offered me, money to have sex. Sure, like a Bud Light and a basket of curly fries, but not cash. That hurts. There's also like these documentaries on TV where they'll have some woman named Juicebox saying how great the sex industry is.
I wasn't abused as a child. I don't do drugs. I just love sex. I'm just a very sexual person, and working in an unregulated industry that provides no legal recourse should I be repeatedly victimized kind of makes me feel hot.
So I'm pretty excited. I got a new computer. That's great. It had been a long time since I got a new computer, like a really long time. So it was so nice to be able to throw those punch cards away and to have that giant room free again, not to have to wear the white lab coat. It's just more convenient in general. So when I got the new computer, because when you get a new computer, it's daunting because it's kind of like a new brain. So I was like, okay, this is going to be my rule for the new computer. No porn. No porn. It's a new start for you, Leo. And that lasted about 37 hours. Because the problem is sometimes I'm alone with my computer. And I think it's too much. It's too easy. That's the problem. It's too easy to, not to exaggerate, but to lose like 7 to 10 hours a day looking at porn. The first you delude yourself, you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm just closing the blinds, and I'll just it's normal for me to turn off my cell phone and take out the battery, and I'll just put this flannel shirt over this chair. Here's how you know as a sidebar. Here's how you know that you shouldn't do whatever you're about to do. If you ever find yourself grabbing your dog by the collar and taking it out of the room, holy shit, don't do whatever it is you're about to do. If you're like, all right, buddy, this will mess up the pet-owner relationship. I know you don't have the facility for speech, but I can't take the risk. You might piss off a wizard one day, I don't know. Don't do what you're about to do. It's too easy. It's too easy to look at porn now because of the internet. Like, when I was a kid, it was a huge achievement. Like, just to see a naked lady was huge. Like, you had to know a guy who had an older brother, who had, like, buried a Playboy from 1968 in a milk can in a field. You had to make an appointment. But now, because of the internet, anyone who's like 9 has seen like 80 people all over each other. Which is terrible. I think it's terrible. I didn't see that till I was like in my 30s. First I got a cell phone, then I saw that. Just as God intended it to happen. It is unbelievable to me when I think about my generation. The first time we masturbated, we literally did not know what we were masturbating about. Isn't that crazy? But we still did it. We were masturbating about an idea. We were poets.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not bothered by porn as much anymore. My boyfriend got me into porn, the industry. It's been pretty lucrative. I'm just dipping my toe in, that's what I do. I dip my toe in girls' vaginas. It's very niche, very niche. We've been watching porn together a little bit, and because we finished Friday Night Lights, so that's what Netflix wanted for us. And so we've been watching porn together, and he wants to watch what I want to watch. So he's like, "What are you into?" And I'm like, "Well, if it were up to me, we would watch a TMZ clip of Zac Efron getting out of a car. Like that's what treats mommy right, That's fine for me." But in terms of porn, there's been a couple videos that I'm like, I like that, but I always stumble into them. I wouldn't know how to search for it. It's too weird that I don't even know how to describe what I like. He was like, "Try me, I'll find it." Because apparently he's like the Edward Snowden of porn. He can just hack into, find anything. But he was like, "Describe it, come on, I'll find it." And I was like, okay. Of the porn I've seen, the ones I like are the videos where the girl, she isn't really quite into it at first, she's a little bit I don't know, but then she gets into it, but at first she's just a little reluctant. And he was like, "Oh yeah, reluctant porn." He starts typing in reluctant. What are you doing? He's like, "Reluctant porn." I'm like, "That's not a He's like, "Yeah, it is." And it is. Oh, it is. It is. There's so much reluctant porn with reluctant in the titles. I mean, it's just hot, reluctant sluts. And I'm just like, one of those words is not like the other porn. That one. Where did you learn that word? Have you been attending night school? What? Reluctant. It's very hot. You should look it up. It's if you don't want to, if you're a little reluctant to do so, I do a pretty sick impression of reluctant porn. So here we go. So this is all reluctant porn. Ready? No, okay. That's it. That is it. Yes, slight hesitation. Full commitment. Yes.
I quit watching porn. I cut back. And I do the double browser system. I do the work browser and the other. So Safari thinks I'm a good person, but Firefox is like, "Dude, what the fuck?" We don't even want to know what I'm doing to Google Chrome, so. I find porn to be less offensive than a lot of women's magazines, because at least porn is body positive. There's fat and old porn. There's no fat and old Cosmo. Every women's magazine's how to shed that last 10 pounds. Meanwhile, porn is "You're perfect, and we have a category for you right here." You're not fat in porn. You're a big, beautiful woman. A BBW, if you will. You're not old. You're mature. You're not covered in semen. You're getting a facial. It's like a day at the spa. I'm glad that joke went over, because if it didn't, this next one will be a real uphill battle. So, one time my ex asked me to finish on her face. There's no clean way to say that. I tried to think of something, it just doesn't work. She asked me, she's like, "I think we should try if you finish on my face." And I said, "I don't think it's a good idea." And she was like, "Please." I might have doctored this conversation, but... She was like, "Please," and I was like, "Oh, all right." I did it, and the second I did it, we both had a moment where we were like, we are not these types of people at all. I am in way over my head here. This is not good. I felt terrible. I got her a hot towel, some cream, some sliced cucumbers. I gave her an actual facial. That's how bad I felt, I played some Enya. Remember Enya? Anyone? It's a weird feeling, because your only way of finding out you're not that type of person is to put it into practice. It's hardcore. I'm not that hardcore. It's like when you're young and you like think you could join a gang and they're like, you're not one of us. You're like, I feel like I could be. They're like, you're not one of us. And then finally they let you in and they light someone on fire and you're like, you guys were right. I'm gonna go get a smoothie. This is...
So I appreciated my dad's advice. He did something for me. I decided to do something for him. He was like, hey, can you fix my computer? And I was like, sure. But I don't know how to fix his computer. I'm just younger than him. So I was like, all right. So I head on back to the computer room. That's what he calls it. The computer room. It's the room where the computer is. It's the computer room. What else are you gonna call it? It's mostly just rugs and, like blacklight posters and stuff. So I go back there, fire up his computer, it turns on. And I'm like, let me see if I can use his Google, try to figure out how to fix his computer. You ever have one of those moments in your life where things like slow down? It's like everything just, and you're just on a different plane, and you kind of forget that you exist for just a moment. You forget where you are, what's happening, when it is. You forget just long enough to be given a tremendous gift. This happened to me when I turned on my dad's Google. I forgot for just long enough that I was not on my computer. I was on my dad's computer. And I was not using my Google. I was using my dad's Google. I didn't have my Google search history in front of me. I had my dad's Google search history in front of me. And I forgot just long enough to go tearing right in there. I just slammed that cursor into the search bar, and my dad's search history just was presented to me, just given to me as the greatest gift I've ever received. I got to see what my dad would search for when he was given a machine that could give him infinite possibility through all of space and time to look up whatever he wanted with nobody else around. Just him and his creator just hanging out, just him and Google, and infinite possibility. And I was given the opportunity to see what that was. And my dad searched for, all alone, just him and the computer, similar to the way I found myself currently. My dad searched for, in his Google, all alone, he searched for boobs. Just boobs, just boobs, man. You know what I mean? It's just, there's something beautifully innocent about that. Like, part of me thinks maybe he thought it was a calculator, like, just having fun, like, just boobs. And that, I was like, we see eye to eye, we see boob to boob, we see boob to boob. I'm a boob man too. I'm the son you never had, But my favorite part of this is that his first search was boobs, and then his next immediate search was big boobs. Which means he got some results. And he was like, get these out of here. What? Why would you even... What does this plus button do?
I was raised like very religious Muslim. We were told, this is true, when we were little kids, we were told that staring at a woman with a lustful gaze was the same sin as stabbing the prophet's nephew in the back while he's praying. Look at a girl, stab the prophet's nephew in the back while he's praying. Equal. So I was terrified of women, you know? And then I was around 10, I remember. Do you guys remember that Cindy Crawford Diet Pepsi commercial? Where she's wearing the tight white tank top and those hip-hugging jeans, and she's in the convertible, her hair in the breeze. Then she gets out and she walks over to the vending machine and she puts in the quarter. She picks her drink, then she pops the tab, and she puts the cylinder to her lips. I remember thinking, I am stabbing the fuck out of the prophet's nephew right now. At that age, though, I didn't know what sex was. Like, I would not even know what I would do if I was in a room alone with Cindy, just like squeeze her mole, you know? Like, that sounds awesome today, actually. But then all that innocence disappears when my cousin gives me a videotape. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's what I would do to her. It's a porn. I don't know if you guys... And it was too early for me to see porn. Like, my body wasn't ready. I put it in. I watched it for 30 seconds. I pulled it out. I had a fever for 3 days. I promised God I would never watch it again. And then a couple weeks later, I got curious. I was like, well, I didn't really give it a chance, did I? What is the motivation of these characters? And then I put it back in, and then you couldn't fucking stop me. Which is where I still am today. All right, here's a weird side note to that story. We've known each other. It gets weird for a little bit. So we're okay with that? Getting weird for a second? All right. So it's a regular porn, you know, beginning to end, men, women. You know what a porn is. But the preview before, there's a 2-minute preview for a different porn before it. And that, I don't know how else to say it, but it's for a preview for a porn where the people defecate on each other. Security, can we, there's a monster in the room. Other than you, everybody was very awkward. And then you yelled, and then everybody was even more awkward. Because I was 10, you know. It was too early for me to see porn, but it was definitely way too early for me to realize that people like her existed, you know. My favorite part, though, is that it's a regular porn, but that's the preview. Like, they're like, do you like sex? Well, then you might like shitting on people. Do you like driving a car? Well, then maybe you want to drown in a submarine that's on fire. But I saw it so early that now I think about it a lot. Not in like a sexual way, but I think some synapse in my brain formed, and now it's just a reference that comes up in my life a lot. Like, I'll see somebody run a red light, and I'll be like, he ran a red light, but what do I know? Sometimes people shit on each other. With red towels in the background. They had red towels. Because they're in the bathroom, even though they're not using any of the facilities. They're still in the bath, like, we're still a fucking civilization. We're not horrific beasts